There we go. I think it's recording now.
Oh my god,
Is
it's
it
actually
recording?
working?
Okay, that's good.
Our voices are showing up on the thingy,
Ooh.
timelined.
I do like that.
Hell and yes.
Hell and yes.
Yerp.
Hey, I don't remember what I was gonna say. Never mind.
That's okay.
What did we talk about in the intro? Cirque du
We talked
Soleil,
about
my
Cirque du
tap
Soleil.
dance and ballroom career, your very gay straight brother.
Yeah. My supportive of his drag queen best friend, brother. And then also we cleaned up a body for a Battletech guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, usual things for blank bodies.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of which, hi and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 tabletop and horror podcast. I'm your host Hunter, and as always, I'm joined by.
I think I actually liked that intro more than the one we just lost.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Honestly.
There
I'm
was-
John. This is John.
There are some fun stories, but we can just save those for later now.
Exactly.
Yeah, those stories will be exclusive for later times.
100%.
Like the Roomba story. That is only for conventions now.
Gotta
Mostly
see us
'cause
live to hear about Roombas.
Yeah, look, the haunted Roomba story. I enjoy it, but I've realized now I much more enjoy watching the horror build up on everybody's face as I explain the full depth of what happened.
Yeah.
I'm going to post the picture of me at Cirque du Soleil in the patron chat, though.
Do it.
Hell yeah.
Hell
And then
yeah.
they can ask for details if they want.
There we go.
I think they're just talking about Voyager in there, so
I mean, I like Voyager.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's my favorite out of the Trek series.
Voyager.
Yeah.
I don't even know her.
I do own the
Wow.
bias of being technically from the same hometown as Janeway, but it's fine.
Interesting.
You can even say it's a boon, which is what we're talking about this week. It's Boons and Prestation.
That is actually true.
That's true.
Huzzah! So we're gonna go over what boons are, how they work, mechanically,
Sure.
and then how they can be used in stories and gameplay, because it's a big part of the game that I've seen people just not fucking use, and I'm assuming it's because people don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, hurrah! More game stuff. Content warning, normal World of Darkness stuff this week. Nothing traumatizing in particular, unless we segue into something traumatizing, at which point I am sorry.
We'll try to say something.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get there. It'll be fine. Sources for this will be the V5 Core Book, the V5 Player's Guide, the V20th Anniversary Edition Core Book, and the 20th Anniversary Companion.
It has
Yay.
a companion.
It has
a
a
little
friend.
buddy.
It has a little friend with some little extra supplemental things, which is extra funny because the 20th Anniversary Core Book's thick.
Yeah, a thick one.
It's very thick.
I don't think I own any of the 20th anniversary stuff.
Oh, really?
I kind of just skipped that by the time those started coming out.
That's valid.
No, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. I've read other people's copies a little bit, flip through them, but
Yeah.
money.
Money, yeah, that's fair. So,
Yeah.
boon. What is boon? Most of us know boon as a thing that is helpful or beneficial, according to the Oxford Languages Dictionary.
Hey, thanks, Oxford Languages Dictionary.
Yay!
Yeah, that was a boon
to
to our discussion.
Yeah.
True.
But boon comes from the Old Norse bon, that became the Middle English boon, and in old Yieldy times, boon meant favor or a request. So, VTM being a little literal with their usage of the word.
I like it.
I mean, vampires old enough, they probably would be too.
Yeah, just guys from the Dark Ages being like, of course the boon's called this. It's literally what
A
it's...
boon is a
That
boon.
is a boon.
That's a phrase that happens a lot. Is a boon is a boon. Let's go. In the core book for V5, boons are defined as one kindred's promise to another,
Okay.
which can lead to good and bad things. I'm going to give the caveat of a lot of what goes on with Boons and Prestation is a lot of word and mouth and hearsay and gossip and things. So you can flavor this a lot of how you want for your table and the tone of your games and things. So if anything I am saying sounds a little bit vague, that's why, because there's a lot of interpretations on how a lot of this goes.
Also, one city might work boons a little bit differently than another city.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
even within the same sex, like you can go
Yeah.
from one city to another, and you're just like, eh. And if you're borrowing stuff from the 20th anniversary books, like I will be citing for reference for people to use for their V5 games, the different sects and the different clans even handle boons differently amongst each other.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah,
See, I would have assumed that like the Camarilla would have had like a set standard way.
kind of, but it's a lot of, we'll get into that. We'll get into it. But yeah, they're like kind of asterisks.
Okay.
Yeah. So, boons are promises or oaths that are seen as binding regardless of sect. So this is one of the handful of things that all vampires are like, we agree on this. A boon is a boon.
The end.
That's it. And if you back out of it, problems. So
Interesting.
Are we going to discuss that later?
we will be discussing that kind of nowish.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So the boons are basically is an honor system that allows vampires to work with each other basically at all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because there's a lot of like, okay, well, if all of these are blood-sucking fiends of the night, like how do they have a society, like, at all?
Because they owe each other favors.
Yep. And it's bad form, old chap, if you don't honor that. The social currency, that is what boons are, comes with maintaining the boons, and it really can make or break your character within like the social networkings of the game. So who owes boons to whom, how you owe the boon, who knows that you own a boon or don't own a boon, do you actually do it, do you not, da-da-da-da-da-da. This is the side of the politicking where it can, if you like the kind of minutia where it gets a little like spilling the tea, like a little high school drama-esque, and you want to play that up, this is definitely like a really good way to do that.
Ooh, did you hear so-and-so owes so-and-so a major boon because they did that thing in their haven?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, well, it'd be really weird that Count whoever the fuck
right.
decided to leave the soiree early. He doesn't do that. I heard that he owed somebody to yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a lot of how your character even just functions at all within the game world is based upon the boons systems, for good or ill.
Interesting.
Typically, boons cannot be sidestepped when they are called in, with very few rare exceptions. Couple of those citations, and the most common one seems to be, if you or this character end up getting blood hunted, a prince may negate any boons that you are owed or you owe due to just the political problem of like, well, I've called a blood hunt, but you owe, or people in the city that are very powerful owe you boons, and you might be calling those in to like escape. And I don't want that. Or,
so
yeah.
Prince can be like, and your credit is 0.
Yep.
He locks all your accounts.
Basically.
Got it.
And it also
It
helps to
probably does that
protect
too.
like the vampires in the city, so you're not like stuck in this catch-22 of, I've been ordered to kill you by my prince, but I also owe you a boon, and if I don't do the boon thing, I'm gonna get in trouble with literally everyone.
Yeah.
But I can't defy the prince because then I'm also in trouble.
Right.
Fuck. So if
Makes
you have
sense.
a prince that's smart, he'll be like, we're just gonna zero all those accounts out.
And now go get him.
Yeah, but if they forget to do that, then drama.
Then you have homie hitting up the Banu Hakim Primogen, like, remember that major boon you owe me?
Yeah, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's also a good litmus test for where people's loyalties lie if you don't, though.
That's true. Because the prince could declare, like, okay, I've zeroed out all their boons, and then they go to the person, they're just like, well, I know what the prince said, but I'm still honor bound because of, my sense of loyalties or whatever.
Right.
Or just like, it's a, just...
A boon is a boon.
A boon is a boon.
A boon is a boon. A prince can't get over that. Boons transgress sects.
Yes.
Like, why could a prince behave,
Why does the prince think he's entitled?
Right, right.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too, is like, even if the prince said that, if you're not a part of the Camarilla, you wouldn't care. Like, if someone in the Sabbat owed you a boon, you still just call them up.
Yeah,
Be like,
or
hey, the
anarchs.
prince said don't do this, so you probably want to do it more. Come help.
Yeah, there's that.
Them or the anarchs would be like, we can piss them off and clear a boon
Hell
Fucking
yeah.
done.
and get
dusted.
someone out of a city.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other option that they cited in the books was if the boon holder just decides to let go of the debt.
Oh,
Very rare. Probably never going to happen.
right.
But there's room for, if somebody holds a boon over you, they can at any point just go like, it's done.
Don't worry about
Don't
it.
worry about it. It's like, but I didn't do anything. It's like, I know.
Or did you?
Or did you?
Yeah, you could make up just ridiculous excuses. Someone owes you a life boon, you're like, oh, we're even, and you're like, I didn't do anything, and you're like, yeah, but you wore that shirt, and I love that color. It's a gray color. We're even.
The Toreador reason.
Right.
We'll get into like why that's good and bad, but yeah, there's There might be some other exceptions I'm not thinking of. They're just they're wacky, they're weird, they're not very common.
I feel like if you could probably sidestep or say no to a boon if it like was like kill yourself or go kill your touchstone, things like that. You can say no to them like absolutely ruining you.
I'm sure we'll get into it too. There are also multiple tiers of boon, and so like if someone asks for way more than you owe them, you can obviously say, well, no.
Right. Yes.
I owe you me a minor boon. I'm not going to kill the prince. I am sorry.
Yes, and there's actually consequences for that kind of shit, and I will get into it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, the actual creation of the boon tends to be far more dramatic than the actual fulfillment. Because usually if you're in a situation where you're having to do a boon, something fucking happened. Something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
Awry, you're in a pickle of some sort. And then the boon is just like, well, this is mine now. I'm going to sit on this for like 50 years.
And then I'm going to ask you to go get a letter from the post office. Because I don't want to be seen getting it, but it's important to me.
Yes. You know obfuscate, right? Like, right. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, good.
Perfect.
Use it.
Yep.
What? Just get the letter. It's fine. So, boons are boons are promises or oaths that are rarely actually detailed as a receipt, because it's not very common for it's like, okay, Vampire A has done this task specifically, so therefore they owe me this task, this task, this task, this task. Accounting for boons is rarely that like direct and straightforward.
Right.
So it's kind of good for gameplay, because then you don't have to keep this very tedious list of like, well, this vampire did this thing, so therefore they're only obligated to do this thing, or your options are only this. There's a lot of wiggle room for you to decide what is narratively interesting or important for your characters or your NPCs to run amok with in terms of the boon situation.
Yeah. I also do think it'd be fun narratively to have a very paranoid prince or baron or whatever who's like, all boons must be brought in and reported.
Otherwise,
and we will document them all. Otherwise, there will be no consequences for not fulfilling them.
Yeah.
People might trust you less, but in general, you could just get away with it if someone's like, I don't want to tell them. All right, no boon then.
That is certainly one option of way things can be handled. This is one of those systems that I'm like, I'm kind of glad we waited on talking about this until we're well into the series, because there's a lot of narrative options that have a lot of heavy consequences, and I feel like for newer players this can get sticky because there's just a lot of options. So you're just kind of like, what do I do with this? And it's like,
what do you want to do
what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go with this?
No. And I do think it'd be fun to have like a harpy specifically whose job is like, this is all you do. Your job is to keep track of boons for the city.
That is an option, and we do talk about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
So good news. But yeah, continuing on with the boon stuff. So the cost or task required to fulfill a boon is usually vague on purpose, along with what time it will be called in.
Right.
So when you owe somebody a boon, the person who has that's like, I'll call in that favor. I'm like, what's the favor?
Right.
When are you going to do it? When I need it. And it's like, where are you going? Somewhere with the boon that you owe me.
I mean, you could save it for a rainy day. You don't have to have a plan for it.
No.
Right.
Which is good and bad.
There are a lot of kindred that do that too.
Oh, yes.
They're just like, I have 30 boons from this one person and 20 boons from this person and 4 boons from this person. And you're like, what have you fucking done?
Just crimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the creditor is the party who gets to decide when and how the boon is fulfilled. Once the requirement is met, the debt is cleared and both parties can go about their own lives. You're done. That's the good thing with the boons, is once it's cleared out, it's like, okay, I don't have to deal with this asshole ever again. And that's just kind of generally accepted across the table. What that means and how it's actually done, we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the prestation section, but that's just kind of the general vibe information on the boons. It is also considered bad form to try and get more out of a boon than the boon is actually worth, which can result in the debtor just refusing to take the request. So like you guys were saying earlier, if somebody owes you a small boon and they go, hey, I need you to like break into this guy's haven, and they're like, whoa, no. No, no. At least if you're somebody who owes the boon, you do have a bit of a say on like what you do. You're still obligated
right
to do some sort of task. But you can, within bounds of reason, be like, that's fucking crazy, no?
Right.
But if the boon is big enough, you can't really say no.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, if you owe a life boon to someone and they're like break into this person's haven, you're like,
That's a pretty fair deal.
gotta fucking do it.
you know what? Yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it.
Probably a pretty fair deal anyway, comparatively.
Yeah,
but
depending on whose haven it is.
Now, the refusal of the request can go up to and including canceling the entire boon if the ask is too ridiculous.
Really?
So if you owe somebody like a very, very small boon and they're like, I need you to hack the prince's mainframe, they can just go, that's so fucking stupid.
I don't owe you shit.
I don't know, like,
Yeah.
why would
Okay.
you clearly have no sense of dignity or honor or anything. Why would I? No.
Mm-hmm.
That's also an extraordinarily rare situation.
Right.
So make sure when you're really dealing with boons, like, don't step out of pocket. Because the other option of a thing that could happen is they could just challenge you to a fight just right there. Just if you ask for something too stupid.
Damn.
They're just gonna be like, all right, Cracks Knuckles, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. It's like, why? It's like, because you're wasting your time and mine. Like, I still owe you, but this is fucking crazy.
So that doesn't cancel the boon.
No.
It just, you beat the hell out of him.
And no one's gonna get really mad. They're just kind of like, what did he ask you to do? Yeah, no, that's... Fuck him.
That's funny. That's funny. I like that.
Or there could also just be the major loss of social standing for the creditor. So if they show up and they're like, hey, I know you owe me this little boon, but I'm going to ask for this really big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can be like, sure, I'll do it. I'll go above and beyond, but I'm telling everybody
Right.
that you're not actually honoring the boon code because
Mm-hmm.
that's just crazy.
Yeah.
So that could backfire in multiple ways.
I assume in some Prince domains, yes, but could it easily be a situation where, like, someone asked you to do something absolutely ridiculous and you're like, yeah, I got it. And then afterward, you're like, okay, now you actually owe me because that was not a minor boon.
That could definitely be part of, like, the negotiations for sure. Just
Okay.
being like, okay, what you're asking me is now bigger than what I actually owe you, so you fucking owe me now.
Right.
Like,
okay.
yeah, like, that's
Fair.
a very solid play on it. Or you could be a complete bitch and be like, I'm going to tell all of the harpies that you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And you can't be trusted to work with, and then suddenly you don't get deals anymore. Weird. But also on the reverse side, it's also considered bad form to ask for too little compared to the weight of the boon.
Oh, interesting.
This mostly is seen as making the creditor look dumb or weak. Because it's like,
Okay.
you had this kind of boon with this guy and you didn't actually use it. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Right.
You're a dumb fuck. Why would you? What? So which would cost, like, social standing more than anything else. They're just
Right.
kind of like, oh, this guy's a fucking moron.
He's a pushover.
Yeah, this fucking guy.
Okay.
So-
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you owe, like, if somebody owes you a life boon and you cash that in by being like, I just need you to open this door, everyone's like, what? You had that guy by the throat.
Right.
And you wasted it on what? What the fuck?
It was a very heavy door.
Well, that, or you could have everyone questioning what that thing you asked for actually meant to you.
Yeah, there's also that. Where everybody's like, what are you doing?
You traded a life boon for what? Whatever that thing is must be very important.
Now everybody's looking into your business. Oh no.
Yeah.
Whoops. So, boons tend to run within a few different denominations with the understanding that the true value of the boon will flux as the power and standing of the vampire in question also fluxes. So this is very nebulous and a little vague. I apologize. I know some players really like having a very standardized chart of this behavior is worth this much, which translates into this many dollars.
Right.
And I'm like, this is not one
really a
of
thing.
those systems because it's kind of more of a social
It's an
word of
economy
mouth.
of favors.
Yes.
That's all it is an economy of favors, and the importance of a favor to one person or capability of a favor to one person is absolutely different than the next person and the next person.
Yeah. And considering you might be holding on to these boons for decades, if not centuries, the value of that boon's going to go up or down depending on what the fuck's going on. So
A minor boon to a prince is a lot more intense than a minor boon to, or from, pardon me,
a
from
fledgling.
a prince, from a fledgling, yeah.
yeah.
Because something that is minor and insignificant to the prince is like, hey, yo, can you wire like $1 million to my account? I need to go do this thing.
Yeah.
And you can be like, sure, here you go.
Yeah, could you get your sheriff to, like, change the police schedule on this block?
Right. Yeah. And then done.
They're just like, yeah, whatever.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Where for a fledgling, they'd be like, excuse me?
You want me to talk to the cops?
Yeah. I don't even know who the sheriff is.
I don't even know my own local non-emergency number, let alone. So
I like the strategy of getting a bunch of boons from like fledglings and stuff, having them owe you, and then raising their standing up just so that what they owe you becomes more valuable. It's like stock marketing other vampires.
That's a big thing older vampires will do. Like that was a big thing, especially in older editions when there were a lot of elders fucking around. In 5th ed, there's not as many elders, and Cele might play that game a bit. If you're a really enterprising, like, newbie vampire, you can also do that as well as just like, okay, I want to be a big fish in a small pond. So if I get all the other little fish to owe me or I owe them, and then I can just kind of pull on those threads when I need it as I climb this ladder.
Right.
That's a strategy. But yeah, very common strategy for elders is to box fledglings into situations where they have to ask for help. And they're like, oh no, now you're at my door asking for help. Well, young one, I'm so sorry that you ended up in this situation. We'll ignore the fact that my shell company is involved in this entirely. But sure, I'll help you out.
Definitely.
And then you owe them, and you're just like, fucking goddamn it.
Very, like, mafioso
yes.
feeling.
I'd say if I made it to like 30 in vampire years, I'd be doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I would not have to wait till I was an elder to do that. I'd be like, well, you're new. I'll help you out. And then you owe me. Mm-hmm. And then you make something worthwhile of yourself. And then you owe me.
Yeah, and that's kind of a two-way street because, like, the younger vampires are like, well, if these older vampires have boons from me, they're going to be invested in me now. Mm-hmm. So they're, probably not going to be on my ass as much.
Right.
Or I'm now an asset to whoever is a big wig in the city, and therefore I have, like, a little bit of cover.
Right.
So, depending on how you want to play the Game of Thrones. Yada, yada, yada.
Could you do the opposite? I don't think it's much of a spoiler, but kind of a intro to Shadows of New York kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, well, I've saved you. You owe me a boon now. Mm-hmm. You just do something for them and say, that was worth this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's something that probably more players and NPCs should do to each other. Is they, all right, you owe me, and then just walk away, and they're just like, what the fuck do you mean? Where are you going? And they're just going to Elysium immediately to catalog
Tell the harpy.
Yep. Yep, and they're just like, son of a bitch. It's like, do you actually owe them? And I was like, he said pinch poke, I owe him a Coke, so yeah, I guess.
Where's the closest Coke machine?
Fuck.
Jinx, owe me a minor boon.
So, the different levels of boons come in trivial. This is usually a task that involves no real risk or significant cost to the debtor. Usually small task IOUs, little things like sharing pin codes to doors. Like, just being like, hey, I need you to not be at this location on this day.
How bad a form would it be? Because I feel like this is trivial.
Okay.
Right? If you are like a rant, and someone's talking and you don't want them to be talking, and they owe you a trivial, could you just be like, shut up? We're even.
Depending on what's being talked about, yeah, totally.
That'd be really
that
funny.
Would be so petty.
Shut up and we're even. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Shut the fuck up, please.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good, yeah.
There's a high chance that one also turns into a fight, even if they do it, though.
Yeah. I was going to say, depending on what is being discussed at the rant,
right?
Sure.
That's hilarious. I love that so much.
If it's like a rant where they're having a discussion about major tactics or the guild or inner system, somebody of the movement, I might be like, the stakes are just high enough that that's moved beyond trivial, but
yeah.
God, that's so funny.
I love that idea.
So good. All right, so a minor boon typically requires some effort or risk from the debtor. Nothing too dramatic, but may cost some resources, time, peace of mind, social standing, but often really only affects the debtor and or the immediate spheres of influence.
Okay.
So this will not be, this is something that requires some time, some effort, some money, some risks. There might be some like, I don't want to do this. This is uncomfy, but okay, fine. And it really should only be things that affect individuals, really, not so much a bigger plot point. So like the debtor might be like, okay, I'm going to be out a few resource dots
Mm-hmm.
Or I've lost a few herd. I might get some social backlash for like housing an anarch for a night.
Right.
You know, things that are like inconvenient. It's like at the level of getting a flat tire where it's like, it's inconvenient. It's a pain in the ass, but like your life isn't ruined.
Right.
Hopefully.
So okay, that's a great example. Yeah. You get a flat and you call a friend to come help.
Oh yeah.
That would be a minor boon.
That's one. If you want to be a little bit more extreme on that, it could be a reaching out to a friend and being like, hey, I need to move some cash around to make sure I don't have an overdraft fee. So could you like send me money and I will pay you back once my paycheck drops in like 8 hours?
Right.
That kind of thing where you're just like, fuck, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or could you take me or pick me up from the airport?
Right. Gotcha.
That would be a
That's
move.
a major boon.
That's a minor, depending on who you're moving.
I'm kidding.
I was thinking, so like in a city where maybe the sect wars are a little more open, and it's like, you're not supposed to be in this town. You can give me a minor boon, or I can beat your ass and take you into the Baron.
Yeah.
Pleasure doing business with you. I didn't see you.
didn't
We'll
see
be in
shit.
touch.
Peace.
I didn't see shit. We'll talk later. Or like, you need help like cleaning up some bodies because you had a fit during a Grassy crit. And it's like a mortal that isn't attached to anybody important, but it's like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
I think that might be a minor boon, honestly, on the spicier end of that, where you're just like, hey, so I just like snapped this guy in two.
Can we throw him in your trunk?
I heard that one of your ghouls has a few acres outside of the city limits, and I just yeet that over there.
That borderline almost would change severity depending on the vampire themselves. I mean, someone with like a high humanity, if you're asking them to kill someone, they might be like, that's like a minor or major boon. But if it's like someone who like, I can't remember, it's like a humanivore, it's like, I kill and eat people daily, yeah, whatever.
Oh, the organivore.
Yeah. I'll go have dinner, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, a lot of this is really context dependent. I'm just trying to give some blanket, like, vague feels.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
It is vague, and it is a barter system, though. So I guess I am just saying, like, there is room for your character to be like, that's actually a really big deal to me. So
yeah, speaking of that, major boons. These are tasks that involve risks or expense or both. These tasks typically have effects on the wider social network of the vampire nightlife. So these have more societal impacts and ramifications generally, or will have effects on the person in question in ways that are like very dramatic or personal to them.
That's why I kind of brought up the murder thing, because I mean, basically guaranteeing stains for breaking your own humanity.
Yeah, so if you're on the vampire like cleanup crew situation, a major boon might be like you killed a guy and you realized, oh, this was like the favorite blood doll of the sheriff, or this is one of the mortal Giovanni, and you're like, oh fuck, shit, that one,
that is a problem.
That is a problem for me. Or you need to move a bunch of amorphous crates and supplies for reasons, and you don't know why the Nosferatu are interested in this, but this needs to be moved without them knowing, and you're like, what the? Yeah, so it's usually that's kind of my differentiation between minor and major boon is I try to limit minor to this only affects people like on a smaller individual level, and then major tends to be like you're getting other parties or other institutions involved.
Okay, that's fair.
I think seems to be a good rule of thumb most of the time. Asterisk, there might be other situations that come up.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I need you to steal this book from a mage. I'm like, that is a major boon. Mages love books.
Yes.
Almost all mages love books.
Also, you're probably going to piss off some of the local mages, so that is involving an entire other
sect entirely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then life boon. This is a life for a life. These are most often given or sworn to either themselves, to save themselves, recompense for having been saved from some sort of situation, or protecting the life of a touchstone, a lover, a mala, a coterie mate, etc.
So, like, coterie mate's gonna die and, you know, you're not there. Homeboy saves coterie mate and can approach you and be like, you owe me a life boon because I just saved him.
Yeah, that could be one, or you could offer it as, like, a gratitude thing if you wanted.
Right.
I know there's a lot of vampires that won't do that, but you could. Nothing's stopping you. or if you're in a situation where another vampire puts themselves bodily in the way and saves your unlife, it's just kind of unspoken that you owe them at that point.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the big one.
It's also one that I feel like be really like thrown in, like you don't have time to discuss. Like you're in a burning building. Say whoever the other sect is attacked, your friend or whatever is still in the building. Life boon, I'll go get them.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I walk away.
Or I've already come out with them.
Yeah.
I came out with them. They're yours, right? You owe me.
Yeah. Because you could argue that as I know I saved this kindred's life, but they're not conscious, so you owe me, and then they leave, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Thanks.
I got out okay, and then you're just looking at your unconscious friend, and you're just like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of him later.
I think I would be careful with that one as an ST. Just because it does kind of suck to have something you didn't choose happy. Like, all right, you owe me literally your life now. Mm-hmm. But like, if you have like one of your coterie / players almost dies, like, or should be dead, just another vampire shows up with them. You all owe me a life boon. Goodbye, and just drops off the fourth member of your coterie.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we got your character out of this. Shit.
Well, now we got to figure this out. So what does this mean? Who's that guy? Now you have a whole story arc of investigating that guy.
Love it.
Plot.
I suppose these are probably also given very quickly in those situations, like, help me, I'll give you a life boon.
Yeah, that... Life boons, the way especially they're written in the old world, is the boon that is most likely to just be chucked out. But that's because you're in a oh fuck situation. You just panic and go, I'll owe you. Just fucking save my ass.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you're like,
damn
fuck.
It. Fucking goddamn it.
That
wasn't even that hard for them.
I was just having anxiety, it turns out.
Yeah.
I was fine. Turns out vampires can't drown.
Oh, that would suck. An incredibly anxious Malkavian who just owns a lot of life boons.
He's just like, I just keep panicking. But he's so protected because everybody's like, well, he owes me like big.
Turns out like 8 very old people owe him a life boon. And now they're all invested in keeping him around.
Yeah. Just as this nervous chihuahua of a fucking Malkavian. Oh my god. So... if you want at least a little bit of context of how these can be weighted out for V5, in the player's guide, there is a boon debt and cost chart, which is kind of nice. I believe it is it's on page 314. And it gives a little bit of a layout of the values of various types of boons and the context of whom owes who. So it's like fledgling, neonate, SLA, sheriff, primogen, prince, and then also weighing if they owe you a boon or you owe them.
Oh, cool.
And the kind of nice thing about this is it offers you, for character creation, as well as things storytellers can give out, a rough guideline of how to have boons either owed or debted as merits or flaws.
Nice.
So if you want your character creation 2-dot flaw to be like, yeah, I owe somebody 2 dots worth of a boon, and then you can go to the chart and be like, okay, well, here are the options.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to weight this? Blah, 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 blah.
I like that.
Which is, like, super fun.
Yeah.
Or you can have it as a merit at the start of character creation, where you're like, yeah, I'm spending, like, 3 of my merit dots at the character creation to have a primogen owe me a boon at this weight.
Yeah.
And then you just have that.
That's cool.
And then you have reasons to build a backstory. I'm like, okay, why does the primogen owe this to you? What happened? How long have you had this?
Mm-hmm.
Yada, 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 yada.
I like it.
So it's a good way to do some world building and have your characters like pre-connected, and or these are background dots. Now you can just chuck onto players as the game goes on, or they can accept to give or take themselves during gameplay if they so desire. Oh.
I don't think it would work.
What?
Could someone be like, yo, you were dying. I embraced you. You owe me your life.
Yes.
That's fucked.
That happens a lot.
I figured.
That happens to a lot of characters that I play. And it's not even that I'm particularly choosing that. It's just I own over the past couple of years the characters I've played. I've really wanted to explore just the depths of like how fucked up the child or sire relationships can be in various different fonts. Mm-hmm. And almost every one of those has involved the sire just being like, I own you. And I'm like, you don't. And they're like, but I did this thing. And I'm like, that still killed me.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, you crazy, crazy man?
Right.
But that can be a level of the complications with that kind of relationship if you want to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
But that could also be really dark and heavy, and you don't, if the player's not interested in that, or the storyteller's like, I don't know if I want to play that fucked up.
Right. Could you do it the other way around?
Be
like, you embraced me.
And took my life.
You owe me this.
I've also been playing that reverse. The Uno reverse.
Okay, all right.
That's part of the complications of the LARP character that I've been playing that you guys have now jumped in on, so I'm sorry.
I'm a whole nother spot. Doesn't
Doesn't bother me.
I don't even believe you exist, so.
That's too bad.
That's fair.
Probably gonna fuck that up for you, and I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's still just psychic energy.
Yeah. Just, the psychic vampires. We're all like, what?
Mm-hmm.
But I drink blood.
I can drink it too. You ever been to a butcher?
He just pulls out a metal straw
All right.
that he sharpened on one end. He's like, I can drink blood too. And we're all like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of energy, my guy.
Met one vampire so far.
Mm-hmm.
Convinced he's a serial killer and a cannibal. I'm not sure about anything else, though.
Oh, you're going to find out there are so many serial killers in Boston.
That's not surprising.
That's not surprising.
It's Boston.
I'm in Massachusetts. The state's awful.
It's full of assholes.
As people from Massachusetts keep telling me.
I did have the idea for a character who would be very annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So borderline too silly for me to actually use, but a vampire who's almost like a superhero, like just shows up, save people's life in like dramatic ways, and it's like, you owe me, like almost like a Three Musketeer. Like I heard shit was going down. I've saved you. You owe me a life boon.
And then they just leave.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's very Tuxedo Mask of you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think
It's like I saved the day. You didn't do anything.
I think it could be very fun, but I think it could be too silly / annoying to really get off the ground. It depends on your individual campaign.
It does, but I like it. It's fun. I might have to run an NPC that does that a couple of times. Like just the wandering stranger merit, essentially.
I feel like that would be cool for like a Nosferatu or like maybe a Ravnos, someone who's a little bit sneaking around, or like you just get a text just like with a blurb of information and then you owe me.
It's like, how did he get my number?
Yeah. How did he know I needed this information?
Just watching you through the security cameras the whole time.
Yeah.
God damn it.
You just get text, hey, do you want that password? Minor boon.
Sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's super fun. So,
I think that version works better than the
Yeah.
actual kick in the door.
Mm-hmm.
dramatic moment, maybe kick in the door. Rex a shotgun. It's like, you owe me. And it's like, yeah, I do. I really do.
Thanks, man.
I don't know why you're so invested, but okay.
You keep saying yes to the boons. Now I am literally invested in your life. Unlife.
There you go. That's how you play Vampire the Masquerade. So, Prestation. This is the process of trading, repaying, and incurring favors, according to the core book for V5. There are several different strategies to handle prestation on a personal and societal level. Regardless of what systems your table uses, there will still essentially be some boiled down like vibes, power dynamics, and gossip that is kind of ubiquitous through everything. And you can still kind of flavor it however you want. It's kind of the gameplay mechanic equivalent of beans and rice. You can make jambalaya, you can make Spanish rice, you can make Puerto Rican rice, you can do Szechuan chicken rice. However the fuck you want to do your beans and rice.
I got distracted what we were talking about. I was just thinking about beans and rice.
Dude, beans and rice is so fucking good. You can change up the beans, you can change up the rice.
Good protein, good
Throw
fiber.
some fucking cheese on it.
Kind of hungry.
I'm sorry, John. You just ate before we recorded.
You ate a cartoon-sized sandwich.
I ate like half of the cartoon-sized sandwich because I was going to eat the rest of it tomorrow for lunch. But I'm probably going to eat it when we're done.
You're probably going to toast it and then just take it with you.
Yeah.
Nah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You're a grown boy. You need your protein.
I hope that I'm not growing more.
You're like already too tall.
Yeah.
You're too tall to live.
Look, I'm fine with growing more, but it has to be specifically longer and taller.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a praying mantis human.
Fair. So, the generally accepted variables that I've read that happens through all the sects, all the different clans, kind of boil down to these couple of things. So, a vampire who owes a debt is often seen as inferior or lesser to the one they owe the debt to. This dynamic is only considered if the boon in question is known about. So if this is just a private between you and the other kindred, and that's it, no one can really hassle you about it. But if you're in a court where they have prestation that is announced, or it becomes like a little gossipy, like secret tea thing, and people find out about it, and they're like, wait, you owe Jason Malkavian a boon? That fucking idiot. You must be double the fucking idiot. Oh my God. Or, oh, you owe a boon to so-and-so? Like, what happened there? I thought they were your ex.
Yeah.
You know.
I thought they were your ex.
But if you keep it, if you keep it on the down low, nobody can use it against you, but it's also Vampire the Masquerade. How often are things kept on the DL?
Yeah.
So, there's that. The scale of this dynamic of being somebody's bitch tips more in favor of the creditor the longer the boon is owed. So if you owe this boon for years, decades, people are just like, you still owe a boon to that asshole? Pff, idiot. Dumb. Like, I can't believe you haven't resolved that yet. God.
Love it.
It's very
he
high
left
school.
Town. He hasn't been back, guys.
And we have cell phones. I know the court says we can't use them, but I mean...
That would be such a dick move, too. I mentioned them earlier, but just like a Ravnos who just gives out a bunch of boons and then just like, well, I'm leaving.
I'll hit you up at some point.
I'll be back in like 20 years.
Yeah. I got a circuit.
Circuit.
As a routine they manage.
They travel with Cirque du Soleil.
Yes.
Making that Ravnos now.
He was that little boy in the Carhartt camo jacket who saw the praying mantis man do his little dance, and he knew.
Did the Cirque du Soleil praying mantis man get his head lobbed off?
No.
Not accurate. Don't care anymore.
That actually isn't really seen in the wild. It's almost exclusively found in captivity.
You are correct, but technically the Cirque du Soleil is inside, so therefore it is captive.
That's true. I do
talking
like
about wild bugs.
I do like Cirque du Soleil more, thinking of all of the actors as captives.
They're just trapped.
It adds so much drama.
Drama.
All right.
If she doesn't swing around by her hair like that, who knows what they'll do?
Oh my God.
The praying mantis man once said no. Turns out
So
it's a Zamitsi that's in charge.
no, explains the costumes.
And then the Ravnos is the tour manager, obviously.
Oh my God. Yeah. So with this power dynamic about the boons, this often leads to many vampires trying to hold on to any boons that they get for as long as they can, while also trying to pay off any debts they owe as soon as possible.
Right.
So if you get a boon, you're just like, I got it. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Mandark laugh.
No.
But then if you get a boon, you're just like, shit. No. Father, help. Trying to just like, to the point that in the old books, they talk about how it's fairly common that if a vampire owes another vampire some sort of a boon, they'll try to like schmooze them a little bit or be like extra nice and try to like tee up things to be like, hey, so I heard you had some trouble with your neighbors. I could solve that for you.
Great. Love
It's
it.
just like, what the fuck? What in the HOA is happening?
I love this.
Which, could give some fun roleplay opportunities if that's something that you're needing to, like, build up for a game.
I also
Now,
could see the opposite being true, especially for like a newer vampire, where it's just like, they owe who a boon? What did they do that person would even care that they exist?
Yeah.
Like, it can get big enough difference in power where it's like, they think about you? That's impressive.
The sheriff has time for you? Wow.
neat.
Wait, you owe a boon to Theo Bell? What the fuck? What happened?
Well, that and just, I imagine just like the act of a newer vampire actually making good on a couple of boons, like makes them look good. Like that's a way to prove that you're trustworthy.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, well, it's this young whippersnapper within the first 5 years of his own life has owed 2 boons and he's paid them off already. Impressive.
Right. Nice.
Hey, kid, you want to owe me a favor?
How often is it that vampires that owe a boon to someone will manipulate situations to where that person needs their help so that they can get out of the boon essentially?
Fairly regularly.
Yeah,
More common than you'd think.
I figured.
Yeah, there's a whole section in the 20th anniversary companion guide that talks about cheating with boons.
Nice.
I'm not going to go into incredible detail with that section, though. If you want to read it, like especially if you're a storyteller, it's really interesting. So that could be seen a little bit as cheating, where you're like, oh, I don't want to owe this guy a boon, so I'm going to set up this Rube Goldberg machine of bullshit.
Right.
So that they have to come to me to fix the problem. That could either be seen as very undignified or very clever, depending on who's involved and how it's spun.
Okay.
So,
You're probably going to get killed, but if you're a fledgling that owed like the sheriff a major or a boon of some sort, and you were able to plan a Rube Goldberg machine to make it to where, well, he had to ask for my help, and I got out of the major boon for it, then people will be like, damn, he a clever fledgling, and then the sheriff shows up at your house and like murders you.
yeah, because the sheriff's probably going to be getting shipping like, you got outwitted by the child?
Right. That's
Kevin McAllister outwitted you? What the fuck? Yeah, this is gonna make Elysium's very awkward for a while.
Yeah.
So there's also suspicion tends to raise towards anyone who is indebted when the creditor goes missing or is killed.
That's fair.
Just immediately going, oh, so and so died.
How much did you owe him?
Who owed him boons? You're immediately on the suspect list. They're just like, okay, well, we got to check these people first. Oath breaking is considered highly taboo and results in often the removal from the domain, blood hunts, etc.
If someone dies, their boons are gone. You cannot inherit someone's boons?
No.
Oh, you can inherit someone's boons.
Yes.
That's
Boons can be transferred.
Oh, neat.
Most of these transfers tend to be done word of mouth or as part of a chain of favors and social politics. So if you owe somebody a boon and they're just like, well, I need to do this other thing and I have this boon from somebody else, I can lean on this person to do this other thing, or you can transfer the boons to other kindred, Canaanites, etc. If that happens, it needs to be done in a way that the person who's the debtor knows about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So it's almost like when companies buy up big bulk debts and start collecting on them and whatnot. It's almost like that, except that half the time we're not told about it.
Well, you're supposed to be informed about it just so that like you who owes the boon is aware of the situation.
Yeah.
It's more like when you get called into work, when you walk into the day and they're like, everyone go to that room. Everyone in this room is fired. Or, we've been sold. You work for this company now. Here's the paperwork for it to fill out.
Right. You have a new manager.
You don't get to approve or say, no, you're not going to do that. You just have to be told that it happened.
Yeah, but if there's a situation where boons are owed and somebody is proven to be dead, those boons either get inherited by that person's sire or their eldest childer, kind of just depending on the situation.
Right. Okay.
So,
cool.
Yeah, those are the two most common ways. It's either somebody decides to trade your boon or, oops, they died, and now you owe a boon to some really old fuck.
Right.
Or their nepotism baby.
Or, I imagine, it's kind of an embarrassment where, oh, my childer owed you a boon. You're nobody to me, but now I owe you. Now I'm indebted to you.
Gross. I don't like you.
And everyone now knows that I owe something to you.
Gross.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and that person might try to manipulate a situation where they Rube Goldberg things so that you have to go to them to pay it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're just like,
you fuck.
just quit breaking my windows.
It could get to the point where if someone was embarrassed enough about owing you a boon that they could hold it over for something. Like someone just like, you're already embarrassed that you're owed a boon, or you owe a boon to this guy, and then he's just making an ass of himself nightly.
Oh, yes.
It's gonna drag you down, too.
It is. So then you either need to take care of them, or you're just like, listen, I owe you. I can't dismiss that, but you're being a fucking cunt.
Could you do the opposite? Whereas I know we should have be like, you owe me. You basically show up, do something, be like, we're even. So you could just be like, you've been such a dickhead that guy and that guy who's now staked were coming to kill you. We're even. You owe me a bigger boon now.
Yeah, that could happen. Or they could just, decide to My Fair Lady you. Just in you're embarrassing. So I'm going to buy you a whole new wardrobe and I'm going to teach you how to fucking act.
And that's going to be my boon.
But you who holds the boon is just can also just be like, it's not really worth. That's not worth the same. Sure, I'll take these things, but like, I didn't call in that favor. You just decided to do this.
I'm gonna fucking kill this guy.
I think 50-50 on how they react to that. I feel like a Ventru might just be like, you're too good at this business shit.
Yeah, are you sure you're not a Ventru?
You're too good at this business shit. I gotta kill that guy.
You gotta kill this guy. Or just like, this guy's got some moxie. Maybe I can make this. Oh, man, I might be able to Uno reverse this. Hold on. What if I adopted you?
Am I actually impressed?
Am I impressed? Ew. I love this Ventru that's just not happy about anything that's happening with this boon. But yeah, I found this little quote in the V20 book that I thought was kind of a good explanation of just like how convoluted this entire chain of trades and O's can go. So if either of you want to read it.
Catherine the Toreador owes me some consideration, so I'll let her grant you an audience if you send word to Pavel the Nosferatu that I could use the help for a few loose tongues to turn some attention toward Carlos the Tremere's deal with the prince's dog's body.
Yeah, it's just like, you need me to what now?
What's a dog's body now?
I don't know.
Will the prince know what that means?
The prince will know.
Or, sorry, will Carlos the Tremere know what the prince's dog body is?
I mean, he's working on it.
Is the prince you know what? I don't need to know what that means. I'll tell them.
Sure. What do you want me to say? So
that's a person who is given boring, menial tasks to do.
So kind of like a butler or a manservant.
I would guess more like a gopher kind of person.
So some sort of Prince School messenger
servant,
like go get me my coffee for the morning kind of thing.
So it's like, what's the Tremere doing to the prince's errand person? Actually, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how convoluted this can get very quickly, and that was the example blurb. This is not involving all of our tired ADHD-addled just nonsense.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen, so hooray. And the last little step of generally accepted, this will happen within all of the sects and permutations, is the opinion leaders of the society tend to be the shot callers when it comes to boons. Whether it comes with disputes, issues, accounting, intrigue, etc. Mm-hmm. This generally is harpies, but there are kinds of vampires that have different names depending on the sect within. So,
word.
Yeah. So whatever version of the gossip queens and intrigue mongers in whatever city, sect, society you're running your game in, that's generally accepted that there is any kind of an issue or accounting with boons. Those are the motherfuckers that are going to have that info.
Got it.
So, woo. Prestation and sex. Boons between vampires of different sects is fairly common, even if these kinds of deals are seen as scandalous in many situations. Which is very funny, just everyone just being a pearl-clutching fucking weirdo. And I'm like, you just killed 3 guys.
Right.
And fucked another one. On the way here. I can't believe you're pearl-clutching over the fact that I owe a small favor to somebody on the other side of town.
Yeah.
But you had to talk to him to do that.
Ew.
You had to talk to that guy to fuck him.
He's not alive anymore.
Okay, you've killed 4 guys.
And?
God damn.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be going to a party tonight. This is pre-game.
You pre-gamed. Oh, jeez. Fucking, okay. So, I'm giggling just because the amount of games we've played where y'all are doing something silly and I'm just stressed.
Yeah.
And that just tends to be our group dynamic, is you guys doing something silly and I'm over here just like having a tiny panic attack.
Hey, usually it works out just fine.
It works out great.
We usually just have the dice pools to back up our dumb shit.
You do, which is fantastic. So, with the Camarilla, they tend to have the most formal structures for handling boons. Harpies handle this business with larger or more conservative cities having a designated chancellor to keep record and oversee transfers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So this is the system most people are aware of. Most people have had running games, or you see examples of it in actual plays. And
yeah,
if you are reading fluff text in World of Darkness, that's the system you most often see running Prestation.
Right.
What else we have? So I made some notes about the Camarilla-based clans based on V5, but I pulled this information from the 20th anniversary companion book because I thought this might be helpful for people that are new to this and are just like, how will this be gauged?
Word.
So, the Toreador and the Ventru tend to prefer the more formal Prestation rules compared to everybody else.
Makes sense.
Venture will tend to be very, business oriented and want to have contracts and and
like literally contracts
sometimes.
Yeah.
Very, or like mobster handshake business guy.
Right.
Kind of
Well, we need a third party here to witness.
to verify this, and I need a notary, or they might go very knightly with it, and they're like counting on your honor compared to their dignitas, and and then the Toreador are going to be very, could be just very like, oh, I mean, darling, you do owe me.
Yeah.
They might want to make a show out of accepting the deal.
Oh, yes. They're just going to be like, make a thing of going to the Chancellor and just like, oh, dear, I have this information. We need to add it to the ledger.
We can finalize it.
Thing.
We can finalize this next week at Elysium, but...
Yes. It's like, I do owe you the boon, but it won't be official until it's actually added to the ledger.
Right.
Play with that how you will. The Nosferatu also like a formal structure, but are most likely to have the real dirt and all of the backroom boons, is the best way I can explain it. So the kind of under the table things, a little bit more shifty things. Since the Nosferatu are known for being a lot of information brokers, they'll probably have a lot of details about who owes who what.
They probably have their own Chancellor for boons, essentially.
Oh, yeah. I love having in every game I run one just rumor monger Nosferatu who's just a little scrungly guy. Does he do anything bad? No.
Does he know a bunch of stuff?
Could he absolutely implode the city if he just decided? Oh, yeah. He absolutely can destroy anybody drop of a fucking hat. Will never do it. Just because he likes the tea. That's it.
Yeah.
He likes the tea and he likes making friends with people to like swap information. He's just very friendly.
Well, and the value of that information is probably worth more than the satisfaction of destroying someone for an evening.
Yeah, it's just this little dude that's just up in everybody's business.
Right.
It'd be much better to pull that person aside and be like, so I know what happened last year. I know why you don't have a childer anymore. Could you tell me this bit of information? I'll make sure no one finds out.
Yeah. I've also found that character to be extraordinarily helpful in games where if the players are trying to follow some sort of plot lead and they get stuck, having the rumor monger Nosferatu is really helpful because they can just pop into the scene because obfuscate.
Yeah.
And just go, hey guys, I heard you had some trouble. Here's a note. Don't ask questions. And just gone. And everybody's like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, I don't know. Do you read the note? It's like, he didn't ask for anything back. He just gave it to us. I'm like, yeah, that should scare you how powerful this character is. He didn't ask for anything for it. He just gave it to you. That should be more concerning.
I like the idea of just being handed a letter with like a wax seal and just like the word major written on it.
Yeah, that's fair. And you're just like, oh, if you crack it open, you owe them the major boon. If you don't, you're just like, well,
I'll never know what's in this envelope that I'm holding on to.
honestly, that's kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, now I want to use that. That's pretty fucked up.
That's I love that. Okay, please somebody use that. That's fantastic. So the Malkavians remain a bit weird, as they do. But they tend to take oaths fairly seriously as a clan overall. And refocusing a Malkavian to handle prestation and boons tends to be a really good way to like snap them back into reality for a little bit, apparently, as well. So if they're getting a little too lost in the sauce, they're like, hey, buddy, remember you owe this guy? And he's like, oh, fuck, I do. Okay, I gotta go do the thing. It's just a little recalibration moment.
Could you do it like asking more like, hey, who owed that guy a boon? Like, Ted here, somebody owes him a boon the other day. We ran into that. Who was that? Would that work?
I don't know. Hold on. Let me ask. It was Rose.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Just stared off in the middle of distance for a second. So I have to contact the web. Hold on. The Tremere tend to deal in exchanges of research and mentorship, so most of their boons tend to stay within the clan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you want to wheel and deal with them for whatever dumb fuck reason, you better have something that's worth their time, which tends to be research and materials for research. So most of them tend to not do the politics as much.
Or if you want some really good research assistance, get them to owe you.
Yeah.
I also, I imagine that the Malkavians and the Tremere would both be the kind who'd show up and someone else would show up and be like, here's that boon we owed you. Just like another member of the clan just took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Don't ask questions. You got what you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, would that work?
What?
If can I pay off someone else's boon? Can I do something and be like, you would owe me for this, but this person's now?
I would definitely let that barter system be opened. Because if it's worth, because if you show up with information that's actually worth the boon and worth that character's time, they might just be like, okay, fine.
Right.
But they would then have to weigh that between getting the information that they want versus having the boon over that character.
Mm-hmm.
I might make you have to do a roll for that, but yeah, no, I don't see why you couldn't at least propose it.
I'd rather you owe me.
There you go.
They could literally just respond with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you can handle that, but I'm like, yeah, it could be fun. The Banu Hakim have kept their boon work mostly to exchanges of assets or vitae, or vitae for jobs that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Up until super recently. It's almost like they just changed sex. Weird. So those Banu Hakim that are more social or political have taken up to the art of prestation very well. So viziers and sorcerers seem to be the kind of Banu that are like taken to Camarilla court intrigue very, very well. Mm-hmm. The warrior caste guys, maybe not as much.
Right.
And they might just be like, no, I don't do it with boons. Do you want that guy's head? Okay, cool. You owe me this. And like, that's it.
Right.
It's a very straightforward just deal.
Mm-hmm.
For them, it's more of a deal and less of a, all right, well, I'm going to hold on to this for decades until I'm ready.
Yeah, so that's kind of it seems to be more of a mix these days on that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. So, depends on the Banu. And then with the Lasombra.
Oh, boy.
The Lasombra tend to have a very deep sense of honor and duty, so any debts or oaths that are sworn, they tend to put a lot of weight behind that, and they take it very, very seriously. Maybe a little too seriously.
Wait, hold on. Pause. The Lasombra
Yes.
taking things too seriously?
I know, imagine.
I don't see it.
Wild.
Yeah.
The political nature of the Lasombra tends to lead them to deal with vampires within their sect as much as outside the sect. This was very true for them when they were in the Sabbat. I cannot imagine that changing at all now that most of the clan has now flipped to the Camarilla.
Yeah.
So, if you're wanting to find somebody to help broker deals outside of the Camarilla, or you're from the outside, you want to deal within the Camarilla, probably finding a Lasombra is going to be your best way in.
And also, now that they flipped, they probably still owe a lot of boons.
To people in the Sabbat, yeah, any of the ones that are left?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they flip too.
That could be really spicy. Some fuck ass Sabbat guy went out to go fight in the Gehenna Wars and is now like wandered back and is like, hey, you still owe me a boon. And it's like, bro, you are
so fucked up right now.
so fucked up.
Go take a nap for like 200 years.
It's like, but you owe me. And you're just sitting there like, fucking God. I am a child of the abyss. Yeah, I'm gonna hold up the fucking, God damn it. I gave you that boon when I was crazy. I've calmed the fuck down since then. I don't do this fucking religious shit anymore. It's like, you're still wearing a crucifix. I'm like, that's for the aesthetic.
It's different. It looks cool.
People think me looking like a Catholic priest is hot for some reason. I've just learned to weaponize it. So, Anarchs. Anarchs tend to be torn on how prestation will actually fucking work. They still believe in the whole a boon is a boon, though how these are sworn to one another can cause a lot of tension and infighting. Imagine the Anarchs infighting.
Pause. Again, I can't believe it.
So, some Anarchs in some Anarch areas prefer to have a formal public system to keep every vampire above board on who owes who. It's kind of more an egalitarian, like, well, we don't want the elders to come back and, like, reestablish their power and grossness in the city. So if we're all open about who owes who, then we don't have to worry about anybody taking advantage of each other.
Fair.
But then you're also getting into the awkwards that comes with everybody knowing everybody's business.
Yeah.
And it's vampires, so that's not going to happen. There's going to be a lot of boons that happen that don't go put on the board, and then people are like, but you didn't put it on the board.
Right.
You have to put your boons on the chores list. And then you're going to have other Anarchs that are just like, boons can just be a handshake, honor code, mutual aid thing. We don't really need to like make it a formal system. Right. So
I would assume that they still, like, the consequences are still similar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because it's super informal in the, yeah, okay, we shook hands, we're good.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that if I say, hey, I need you to do this thing, and it's totally reasonable, you saying no isn't going to have a lot of backlash.
Oh, that's going to have a lot of backlash. And probably more community backlash, really, because then everyone's like, he did what? What a bitch.
Right.
I thought you were down for the movement, man. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you end up putting your fangs on the curb.
Boop, boop.
Boop, doop, boop. So,
They'll grow back.
Yeah, it's still going to suck.
I was saying, like, don't worry, bud.
It grows back.
They'll grow back.
Unless I, pour lead in them.
Yeah, well.
That, you can go to our advanced combat episode for those details. So, for the Bruja and the Gangrel, they tend to dislike formal accounting, preferring honor codes as shows of their integrity.
Duh.
The Ministry have an interesting problem with prestations, which is most people don't want to do boons with them because they think they're inherently very untrustworthy.
Don't get it. Don't understand.
Everyone's like, the Ministry guys, they'll cheat you out of your things, and they're liars, and you don't want to get into boons with them because they're fucking crazy.
Meanwhile, they're like, hey, we can do some deals.
You want drugs? I have so many drugs.
So many drugs. You want hookers? I have so many.
So many.
Blackjack? That too.
Yeah. That might be tempting you into, toying with your beast a little bit to see if you're really up to the challenge of things and testing your faith, but, like, I'm going to uphold the boon.
Duh.
I might monkey's paw it a little bit, but, nothing says I can't monkey's paw it a little bit.
No.
Nothing in the rules says I can't do that.
For a treat.
For a treat, it's a little treat. But because of this, a lot of ministers would rather deal and receive payments on their own terms, which will change from minister to minister. So some of them will want to do the boons and have, like, oaths of faith and loyalty and, like, yeah, no, I've sworn myself to you, my brother, and Cain or Sept or however the fuck they're doing things.
Right.
And other ones are like, look, I'm a piece of shit. I know you're a piece of shit. What the fuck do you need done? Pay me in cash. Mm-hmm. Slides a square tile for you to, like, swipe a card on.
Fair, yeah.
So you can have a lot of fun with that in game, but generally, yeah, people are just like, I don't want to ask the minister for a boon. Like, it's gonna get weird and horny and sticky and just.
And you act like you don't like that.
Quit calling me out.
You just hear from across the room the minister's like, come on.
You already owe me two.
You're right. You've come over twice before. What's a third
Like, why
time?
are you telling my business? It's like, that wasn't part of the boon. Go fuck yourself.
Right. You were talking shit first.
So with the independents, the Hakata tend to find the systems of prestation to work really well with how they operate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shockingly, the mob clans.
Strange.
Weird. Some within the Hakata even offer services to trade boons for more tangible assets like cash or blood as a kind of currency exchange.
Interesting. So that's where we talked about boon transfer. So you'd be like, oh, you owe that guy now, and they give you, like, money or blood.
Yeah. You're just like, you can kind of go up to them as, like, a pusher or a loan shark kind of a thing where you're just like, you're in a bind, you need something. You're working on a project and you need some fucking, like...
a resource dot.
Resource dot, you need some fucking papers moved around, you need some shit covered up, whatever. So you go to the local Don, and you go, hey, Don, I know it's the day of your daughter's wedding, which is weird because you've been undead for a very long time. But hear me out. I have this boon that this character owes me. What's it worth to you? Mm-hmm. And then I can barter some deal, and then some guy from Jersey will show up at that character's doorstep in a few nights and go, hey, you owe the Don now. And they're like, what the fuck?
Shit.
How? Fuck.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it wouldn't be a few nights. I feel like they'd let you know pretty quick.
Yeah. There was a wedding.
There was a wedding.
My dork ass is like, look, it's a chunk of the Italian line. The family's married the Greek line, so the wedding took a few nights. It's fine.
As you do.
As you do. It was a big event. It was very beautiful. Everyone had a wonderful time. Then
this is the person telling you that you owe the Don a boon, telling them what happens. It was a beautiful wedding. It was a wonderful time. There was a whole smorgasbord. Yeah, but you owe him because Frank told you.
Yeah.
He.
Yeah, they had these like party favors at the end. Like everybody got like a new cell phone.
It was nice.
It was real nice. It's
real
real
nice.
classy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry I'm riffing so much, but it's fun.
It's late for us.
It's
too.
late for us too. So the Ravnos and the Salubri find it hard to use prestation systems. Many of them float around in vampire society essentially as like second-class citizens in a way, lacking their personal or clan power to be really worth it to other vampires. Optimum's like, yeah, this guy could owe me a boon, but like, why?
Yeah, why? He's going to be
Either that one's going to fuck off and that one's going to just be dead because he's got some sort of fucking martyr complex.
Dead. That one's going to fuck off and that one's just going to be dead. Well, I don't know what to tell you about that, bud.
So, like, I don't know why you want me to, like, go out of my way to do something for you. That's crazy.
Like, most of them aren't even going to have, like, a clan primogen you can put leverage on if they don't.
Yeah.
Those two specifically. Anywhere. Good luck.
Right. So, but the kind of fun note I'm pulling from the older book is a lot of the Ravnos have a reputation for trickery, but many Ravnos have personal codes of honor. So if you do have a boon with them, they will take it seriously and honor it. But they're also probably going to just kind of be off in the wind somewhere for a period of time. So
Right. It's going to be very difficult to get a hold of them for the next 50 years.
it feels very like Inigo Montoya kind of way, where they're just like, he's like, I swore this oath to kill this man. And then they're just fucking gone for decades. And they come back and they're like very just serious about it. You're like, yeah, this is cool and dramatic. This took 30 years.
Right.
Where were you? I was drunk over there.
I was preparing to murder this man.
I told you I took it very seriously. I trained for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose, unless you, as the creditor, specify a timeline, they literally could.
Yeah.
What's 10 years to a vampire?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
in this economy. And then
that.
we get to the Sabbat.
Mm-hmm.
So, within the Sabbat, K-Knights also honor boons.
All right.
But in a less formal way compared to everybody else. These can range from simple IOUs to oaths sworn between soldiers in battle.
Hell yeah.
Really depends on the situation. Boons are mostly given between packs as opposed to within a pack. Because
Okay.
if you're in a pack, you're already doing the vernaculum with each other. So you're already kind of like owing each other as you're fighting as the Swords of Cain.
Yeah, it's like the Vernaculum is a joint bank account.
Yeah.
And your payments, boons, are going into that joint bank account.
Yeah, but, you know, you all collectively are working to fight the Antediluvians, so, like, this pack owing this pack and that pack owing that pack is
Right.
kind of more often how that tends to happen. Unlike other sects, though, trading boons is seen as soft and gets in the way of actually getting shit done and, quote-unquote, acting now.
Okay.
A lot of the verbiage that was used in this section was very akin to, if you read manifestos from like Italian fascists about being like, well, we need to act now, we need to act strong, we need to be brave and get all these things done so that we can like save society. And so, and that's from the 20th anniversary book. So reading that was kind of a hit in the face of like, oh, yeah, having that fascism in play in the V5 like core book in the considerate play section. Yeah, that made a lot of sense. I don't know why so many people got bent out of shape with it, because I'm like, they were telegraphing a lot of these themes in the previous editions pretty hard.
All right.
So, yeah. That's one of many reasons where I'm like, there is problems with the Sabbat narratively, and one of them is they do a lot of fascist shit, but it's in a way where apparently it's not telegraphed loudly enough so people don't catch it. And that is one of them. Where they're just like, yeah, no, if you swore a boon, you need to do it and don't trade it. Like, what are you, a pussy? Like, fucking, you owe them, pay them back.
I mean,
do it now.
I kind of like the don't trade them. I don't necessarily know about the act now, but I like the idea of like, no, you don't get to just make this guy owe this guy because it's more convenient for you.
Yeah.
He owes you and he will pay you.
Yeah.
I like that.
That portion makes sense. And that's at least that portion of it. I think if you pull that into like an anarch city, that could be interesting, or a way that they handle things where it's a little more like, no, we're not like trading favors. Like,
we aren't banks.
We're not banks. You're a vampire. You're not a commodity. You're not a peasant. You're not going to be shuffled around.
And even in a Camarilla city, if you're powerful enough or it's enough of a boon where it's like, I feel like you could be seen as like, why would you bother trading that? Was it so difficult for you to give a minor boon to the fledgling that you had to trade it? You know what I mean? I think there is going to be a little bit of like if they are public, if these aren't under the table deals, if you are reporting them and knowing them and you have to go in and say, oh, I've traded this to him.
Yeah.
People are going to talk.
Yeah.
It's going to be less on the nose, but there's going to be a lot of gossip of like, maybe he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, the companion book brought up that trading a boon can also be read as a slight, where your boon to this person was so trivial to them that they just traded it, which I thought was an interesting note, but I didn't break it down in the script. I don't know why I didn't.
That is interesting. I think it would just depend on what they trade it for.
Yeah, what it's traded for, the context of like who's being traded and da-da-da-da. Because sometimes it might be no, I get it. Like, it fucking sucks, but like you traded the bone that I owed you to the sheriff. Like, I get it. Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Or
I get it.
someone could put you in a position where it's like, I saved your life now, and you owe me a life boon, or you give me that major boon that he owes you.
Yeah.
His boon means more to me. That's what I want.
His major boon means more to me than your life boon.
But again, it also might be if it's someone like a sheriff or a harpy or somewhere. It's like,
right.
I get it.
Yeah.
That
rude,
person
but
has
I get it.
political power that you need.
Right.
So, within the Sabbat, the older books did note that younger Tzimisce tend to view Prestation as a way to build their power and gain edges over older vampires or political enemies. Older Tzimisce view Prestation as kind of pointless.
Yeah.
They're masters of the world, and so, why bother? You're lucky I'm letting you live. Like, this is fucking stupid.
I don't owe you a boon. You don't owe me a boon. You were a good guest. Now get out.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's very, like, grandpa energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on that. It makes sense, but I could also see them being so big on hospitality and stuff to be like, that is the way it works.
Yeah.
I've done this for you, and you owe me now.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That is the rule of the land.
Well, I think that in that kind of situation, oftentimes it would have been just negotiated what you'd be owing them.
Yeah.
Too, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be like you owe me a boon. It would be you owe me and you're going to pay this way.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah. Just like, boon. Do you think so?
I don't have time to keep track of all that shit.
You think I owe you?
Right.
Very cat energy.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, just anyways, I'm going to go back to my flesh palace.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep yapping, I've
Well-
heard the kids say it's yapping now. If you keep yapping, I'm going to make you part of the Flying Buttress.
Yeah, if they're at the point where they have a flesh palace, probably not going to care too much about the boon.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
they're not going to care about too much, I feel like.
I do feel that like younger Tzimisce would definitely play it like you were saying though, Hunter, where it's like, this is the way it's done. This is the way it's always been done. We're going to keep it up that way because they're trying to build that power base.
Yeah.
And so they want to be strict about it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Where,
just
yeah,
like,
that-
all
those-
of these are mine.
Right. Where all the older Tzimisce are already like, well, I've got all the shit. I've already got it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could also see an older Tzimisce using it as a way of, like, not cashing them in, but just being, like, literally, like, I own you now, and I own you now. Like, collecting boons from people just as another form of, like, owning everything and collecting power, where it's like, well, actually, here's a list of half the city who all owe me.
Right.
And you want me to do what? You're threatening me with what? Let me throw a dart and see who's going to stop you.
Right.
Because honestly, you're not worth my time. I have this couch I'm working on.
What's he gonna do to that couch?
I just turned JD Vance into a Tzimisce.
No.
You're like, I don't want to claim him.
No.
Whatever
he's
makes
not.
sense.
Just unfortunately, Tzimisce ghoul. I feel like that makes more sense.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
His skin doesn't fit quite right, so.
Fantastic. So with all of the other anti-tributes, so the Sabbat versions of all the clans, they may or may not partake in Prestation, mostly depending on how socially or politically adept they are versus how into their own ideologies they've bought to. So if you have the higher-minded anti-tributes that are like, I'm willing to play the fucking chess game so that I can take down the antediluvians, this is what I gotta do to get there, cool. And then you get a bunch that are just like, Prestation and Boons is a tool used by the antediluvians to keep us all indebted and in chains and squabbling with each other, so I'm not going to fuck with this. So, kind of depends. Because it had this really good quote that I loved that was at the end of it, which is, who would make a promise to an unreasoning tool of the beast? Why would I bother with a boon? We're all fucking monsters.
But yeah, I think it really would depend, because I'm also imagining like a very like the anti-tribu Ventru who are like very noble, like knights types who'd be like, no, my word is who I am. I am not a part of any sect. I am an island unto myself. Yeah. And that must be respected kind of stance about it, where it's like, well, if my word is not good, then I am nothing. And so I must stand for my word when I give a boon. Which
is a cool character.
Yeah.
I like that idea. And then you're going to have the other Sabbat that are just like, I've been snorting blood cocaine, so I can go kill God. You think I'm going to owe you fucking anything?
Fuck you and your boon.
And that's when that Night Ventru tries to behead you.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you don't owe me? Okay, then.
Okay, well, problem solved anyways.
Then I'll take your head.
So, that's our crash course on Boons and Prestations. Thoughts, concerns, questions?
I think they're fun. Use them more. I should use them more. I haven't, to be fair, I haven't run Vampire. I tend to be the one who runs all the other games, but I think they're interesting, and I don't think they come up enough. There is a lot of direct dealing that I think could be changed to a boon, just to crank a little more tension, put a little more pressure on your players. If you have players who are just kind of like fucking around a lot, putting a couple boons on them might kind of put them back on the straight and narrow a little bit.
Yeah, I could see if you have players that are kind of murder hoboing a little too much. You could have some powerful NPC in the city clean it up and then have them show up and be like, by the way, I have saved your ass on several occasions. Now you all owe me. And this is what you're going to do.
Show up with the corpse of a detective and like a file. So I've spoken with the Harpies, and you now owe me. And just like hand you your own police file.
Oh, no. Just an absolutely dominated as shit federal agent that they're just dragging by their tie. He's out of it. He has no idea what's going on.
He's like, who am I? What am I?
What's going on? And then they hand you back your own FBI file.
Yes.
That's especially terrifying because it also means that now the entire tower knows how badly you fucked up that there was a file on you for that masquerade. So for someone else to clean it up for you, there's almost no way they'd say, no, they don't owe you a boon.
It's just like, oh, no. It's like, oh, you owe a boon. And you're just like, oh, there's going to be more problems and repercussions. Like, oh, yes, child, there will be. Come on, Robert. And just like drags the FBI guy out with him.
I love having an FBI agent owe me something.
That's
one of my favorite moves I've had a vampire do.
That wasn't going to go well. It's still not going to go well. For him, mostly.
Yeah, I was going to say. But yeah.
Boons are wibbly wobbly.
And
you should definitely do your best to negotiate those before agreeing to them.
Or just have a panic attack and go, yeah, sure, boss, whatever. And then just, see what happens.
Yeah, that's an option you could do.
They're also a great way to start a story. Like, I imagine very few players wouldn't open that envelope I mentioned earlier if that's what you start the game, by actually handing the players an envelope with all their character's name on it and the word major on.
And they're just like, well, I mean, if nobody does a knowledge check and they just open it, you're like, well,
there it is.
Even if they know exactly what it means, I feel like that's such a good hook that it's going to get opened.
It's too good.
It's like it's Chekhov's gun situation. Like there's no situation where that envelope does not get opened at some point.
Is there a way we can open this without opening it?
Yeah, if you take like a blow dryer and go to one side of the wax seal.
God, I would love that as ST. They're just trying to blow dry it. I'm like, I'm just gonna make that NPC show up and be like, okay, so you opened it. Neat.
Great.
I don't know why you just didn't use a letter opener like a civilized adult, but okay.
You can put a wax seal on it, man.
I'm just going to assume that your sire did not educate you properly, and I'll let it go this time.
Go this time. What is this person talking about? I didn't break the wax seal.
I'm going to inform the Harpies.
Thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't break no wax seal.
Nah, I'll let them decide.
Make sure to show them the seal.
Ah.
Yeah. You could also just offer your players boons. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the wibbly wobbliness, the openness of what that could mean for them is often going to be enough to get them to jump onto any story you're trying to start.
Oh, yeah. If some character's like, hey, by the way, this is really important to me and I need this to be done quietly. I'm going to offer you a boon for this. And they're just like, this NPC is offering us this kind of, what the fuck? You gonna give us time to consider that? Like, sure.
And then they get the boon, but they don't understand the full consequences of what they've done until the city knows that they've done it.
Yeah.
And it puts them in a real...
A little pickle there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a shame because they're vampires and they can't eat pickles anymore.
That is a shame. Pickles are tasty.
But they could get pickled and then heal the next night.
Oh, no.
Do you think pickling a vampire, what kind of damage would that be?
Fuck.
It
would probably start as like superficial, and then if you just stayed in the pickling long enough.
If you did it long enough to actually get pickled,
yeah,
like that would probably be major,
ag, right?
Yeah.
We need to end the show.
Can the vampire?
I will offer a minor boon to whoever can pickle themselves and let me know how it goes. Don't do that.
Don't do that. No. I've seen what happens when people do that, like, jelly juice diet. Don't fucking do that. Did you not hear about this?
Nope.
No, I just don't like hearing about it.
No, there's some, like, health food lady scammer person who is trying to convince people to do this, like, weight loss program by just drinking a fuckload of pickle juice.
It's vinegar.
Okay.
It's like,
Gotcha.
it's like salted vinegar, and it just absolutely wrecks your insides. So don't do it. Anyways.
It's definitely not worth that boon I'd give you.
No, it is not. Anyways, thank you, Paralyze, for the music. It's good.
It'd be going.
Yes. They are on Bandcamp. Give them a doll hair. Give them a listen. Check out their other albums. The work is good.
That is the truth.
That is the truth. That is the way. We do exist on social medias. We do have an Instagram at Blank Bodies Pod. We're also on TikTok at Blank Bodies Podcast. If you want to say hello and or keep up on what we're doing and our silly memes. We also have a community Discord where if you want to come hang out, ask us questions, share some cool stuff, hang out with the community, run some games, play some games, share some memes. People just kind of hang out in the voice chat and like stream games together or do like impromptu movie nights.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. It's hopping. It's banging. It's a rocking and a rolling. If you think what we do is cool and you want to support us, we do have a Patreon with various other little tiers that give you little titles in said Discord. Also gives you access to the Patreon bonus episodes and the patron polls that we use to help calibrate and run our show.
Yeah, you get a vote on what the patron episode is each month. You get one of those at any tier. You also get to vote on the clans we do. We sometimes throw other random polls up just for fun.
Yeah. And if you pay at a certain tier, I'll do character sketches. I know I owe some people some sketches. I'm trying. I'm sorry. And there should be we will talk about this. I'm hoping to do some other little gifty niceness for the patrons here soonest as a thank you, because I believe have we hit our 3-year anniversary, or am I crazy?
Yes, it's
oh my god,
up.
we did. It's coming.
We're definitely past it, I think.
Oh yeah,
I
we
need
are.
Double check the year.
The haze of prepping for the con has destroyed my brain.
We've been doing the show long enough that our data aggregator has dropped off the beginning of the show.
Oh.
So there's old screenshots. I could go look in our channel and see where we started stats wise, but I do believe that we are at 3 years now, especially because we're getting so close. I think we started around Gen Con originally, a little beforehand that first year. So
yeah, huzzah!
We're probably July babies.
Wow.
The show is a Leo.
And we're almost at 100 episodes.
Oh my god.
We didn't used to count our bonus episodes, but we're just keeping the number where it's at. So I know we have over 100 episodes uploaded, but don't pay attention to that number.
That's not official.
That's not official.
Not official. It's time to leave.
It is. If you want to share a cool project,
oh yeah, hit us up.
blankbodies@gmail.com. We've had musicians and artists and people in the community on to talk to us about their cool stuff, and we like sharing people's cool stuff.
Yeah, we have people creating non-vampire games who's come on. I have a really cool author I'm talking to about coming on for a project that hasn't even been announced yet.
Ooh.
So that'll be interesting. That probably won't be till December, but it'll be cool.
Yeah.
And also, just to go back, but if we do hit our patron goal of 500 a month, we're going to do an episode every week. So no break weeks. We'll do 4 a month plus milk, milk episode.
That is the bonus treat, is the Milk in World of Darkness episode, which is going to be horrifying. And also, we're going to, so get that episode. There'll be the 4 episodes every month and the Patreon bonus episode every month. So it'll be 5 episodes if you give us doll hairs.
A bunch of time for our sensual voices to
we appreciate the support.
Leak into your ears.
We're getting to do cool stuff, which is fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can continue to support the community with whatever the fuck it is we're doing. My god. Hell yeah. All right.
Also.
Yes.
If you're a fucking vampire, hit us up. I want to talk to you.
All right, bye.
Is that a kiss for just the vampire?
Oh yeah, that was for the vampire and for everybody else.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.